Today, just some of the different effects of over-direction. Now, when you're working with over-direction, you have just tons of different nuances that happen. And over-direction creates length, and length creates softness. And so what I want to show you is the difference between over-direction and how just a small amount from one side to the other can make a huge difference. So, what we're going to look at first is I have pre-cut the back of my mannequin's hair. So I've utilized a traveling guide and I'm working 90 degrees from the back of the head to a slight decrease in length. So I'm creating graduation and really kind of just tucking in this shape into a nice soft hairline. I'm not going to cut the very bottom of the hairline until the end because I want it to remain soft. So many times I find when people go in and they cut the hair off at the bottom, then you don't have that softness left anymore, and it's really hard to create a very soft and beautiful shape. So welcome everybody. I'm so glad you guys were able to hop on and join me. I am sharing about over-direction today and the difference that it makes. In the back of my Pixie haircut, I'm doing a traveling guide. I've already created a traveling guide, so everything is the same length all throughout that back. On the right-hand side, I'm going to be utilizing a stationary guide at the ear area and showing how much over-direction will create length. On the opposite side, on the left-hand side, what I'm going to do is I'm going to over-direct back, but only to my previous section. So I'm not going to be creating a ton of length, but it will get gradually longer. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And so when we pull the hair back and cut it, it's going to flow forward. We're going to get more length in through that front area. So on the diagram, I'll show you what she's going to look like. So right now, we have that traveling guide across the back. Then on the right-hand side, I'm going to be over-directing back to a stationary guide, so it'll all be pulled back to one length. So if we had all these sections, I don't know if you guys can see that, but they're numbered. Okay, so first section will be number 1. That'll be right at the ear area. So number 2 will go into number 1. Number 3 will be over-directed back to number 1. Number 4 comes all the way back, and number 5 comes all the way back. So all the way to one spot. This is a great way to create asymmetry, by the way. If you want to just get a slight asymmetric feeling to your look, this is really a beautiful way to do it. So on the left-hand side, we're going to start at the same point. They're the same length. So I'm going to pull the second section back to the first, just like we did. Then the third section goes to the second section. Fourth goes to third, and fifth goes to fourth. So there's only a small amount of over-direction, therefore we will only get a small increase in length. So let's do the over-direct to previous first. So this will be on our left-hand side. So here we go. Our guide is right at the ear area. So I've already cut the back. You can see right there my guide. So I'm going to take my guide from that point and I'm going to grab a vertical section, so I'm keeping my sections vertical. Whenever we want softness in the hair, we work with vertical sections. So I've got that section right there. I'm going to over-direct my second section back to my first. Find my first. There we go, now I can see it. Over-direct back to my first. And I can see my guide right there. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut that vertically. Then my next section is only going to go back to my previous. So what I need to do is I need to grab only my previous section, so I'll get the rest of the hair out of the way. Pick it up and over-direct this hair back to my previous section. So there's not a lot coming off, but it makes a difference. Okay, now I'll split my guide, comb the rest out of the way, add half again as much. Over-direct back. So you can see I'm not going back to a stationary guide all the way back. I'm just going back a little ways. Hi, you guys. Okay. So as you guys know, once a month, or as some of you may know, once a month I go live after I've worked with my Sharp Scissor Society. So Sharp Scissor Society is my membership program where I go in depth into all of the different nuances of cutting and all the different nuances of the techniques that I do. And it's really fun because I get to take a deep dive into why things do what they do. I've always been kind of a cause and effect type of person. If you do one thing, you get something. So what I just did was I worked over directing back just to my previous section, which gives me a slight increase in length. So let's take a look at that. I'll tip her over and you should see the hair get a little bit longer towards the front. Not a lot, okay? And there we have it. See how it's kind of angled out ever so slightly. So it's getting just a little bit longer as I travel towards the front. Now, as I said before, this is actually a really nice way to create an asymmetric short cut because behind the ears, everything was cut with a traveling guide, which gives us an even length. And then in front of the ears is the only area that I'm shifting. So now let's over direct back to our stationary guide on the opposite side, on the right-hand side. So now instead of splitting my section and traveling a little bit with it, everything is going to come back to that one point. So I'll over direct the entire section back. Now I always get people asking, can you just do it all in one big section? Yes, you could, but it's kind of similar to, what would I say? Okay, you're stacking cards and you want to just create a really small, little stack of cards so they just fan a little bit. And you put 10 cards down at once, 20 cards down at once, as opposed to doing one card at a time. So it's just like it's a gentler way to work. Okay, so a little vertical section. I'm going to over direct this back. And I have my guide that's right behind the ear. So my guide is coming from pretty much right at the ear area, right there. And if you establish the length that you want at the beginning with your traveling guide, then you always know you're even, and then you can move forward from that. Is it better not to raise the elbow? I have a question. It really depends on where you're working. So that's a great question because it's body ergonomics. And I actually, before I did this video, I was like, okay, how can they actually see? So on this side, because I'm working vertically, I'm going to keep my elbow down, my holding hand down. If I were working diagonal sections, I'd have to tip my arm up so that I could be in line with those. So it really depends on what you're doing and how it's most comfortable for you to stand. So I'm going to keep my elbow down. This elbow is going up so you guys can see. And I'm cutting a vertical line. So now this is going to remain my stationary guide. I'm going to take a little bit more hair. Remember, everything's coming back to my first section. So bringing this back. Okay, there's just a small amount of hair. And I'm remaining consistent. So my distribution, my elevation are all remaining consistent. The only thing that's changing is I'm doing a stationary guide instead of a traveling guide, instead of an over direct to previous guide. So there's so many things that can change your outcome as you're working. And I go into a lot of these things inside of Sharp Scissor Society. I take all of those techniques that you guys see me doing on my Instagram, like the channel cutting, the freehand slicing, and just all of the things that, to me, really personalize a cut and make it yours and your clients. It's that combination of their canvas and your artistry. And so I do deep dives into that. Am I a lefty? No. I've had people ask that before, and I think it's because this turns things around. I'm actually right-handed, but I think you're viewing it in a left-handed manner. But I do have left-handed scissors. I have all of my scissors and lefties now, except for the carven side. And that's coming, probably sometime next year. But I have my 5.5s, which are my new 5.5 scissors that I love. I've got my 6, 7, the texturizers, all in left-handed available now. I'm not a lefty. I'm a righty. So everyone thinks I'm a lefty because it flips it. You're viewing me kind of in the mirror. Okay, you can see that over direction right there. I'm going to continue. I'll do 2 more sections. Let's bring that back. Everything's coming back, and I'm lining up with the back of the ear so I can have that consistency. I'm not removing much. I thought I'd take off a little bit more, but it's just what's reaching. So, and as I said, this is a great way to create an asymmetric cut because everything is blended and even until you hit the back of the ears. Then it moves forward. Oh, somebody bought a lefty and loves it. Thank you. Look at that length. Look at how much more length. Yeah, thank you for whoever said that. I always forget to tell you guys where to get them. There's a link in my bio. So go to Linktree in my bio, and it's Angel Blade Scissors. So it's on my website, which is Serious Beauty. And there's also a link in there for the my Sharp Scissor Society. So if you want to go in there and check that out and kind of, there's like a demo in there you can see. Okay, so look at the difference in the length in those two because they, it's just that over direction. One was only over directed a little and the other was over directed more. So think about this. If I wanted to, I could come in and let's say we wanted it to be more asymmetric. Something weird is happening. There we go. So I could utilize a traveling guide on this side. And right here, I could start over directing back to previous and then over direct all the way to a stationary guide at the ear. So I could get just gradually longer and then really a lot longer. Oh, where can I send your shears for sharpening? We use a company called Precision Edges, and they're out of California. And when you buy your angel blades, in our new brand of angel blades, we redesigned them a little while back, and they all come with a self-addressed postage, prepaid postage for you to send them in. And when you purchase through us with angel blades, it's $20 to sharpen them because they're on a warranty. So it's really quite nice. And they have a really good turnaround time and they do a great job. So that's where you send them. Yeah. Okay, so you can see the difference. Oh, I wanted to show you the buildup in length that's different. Remember the first time we did over direct to previous, and now we did over direct to stationary. And look at the increase in length. Look at how much longer that got versus the other side. I'll show you from the front. So when we look at this, and this is great in any short haircut if you want to create this length around the front, but look at the difference in length. It's a good, I'd say, 1.5 inches, almost 2 inches. And it's all from over direction. So over direction is going to push the hair forward, so we're going to get that softness around the edge. And then we also are getting length. So do you guys want to see me like do a little more detail on this? Or was that enough? Detail? Okay, I'll do a little bit of detail. And where in Canada? I don't know where in Canada. The company we use is obviously a US-based company. I might check into that. Maybe send me a direct message about sharpening in Canada. And let me see if I can find any resources. They won't be covered under our warranty unless you send them back to Precision Edges because that's the company that we work with. So, always detail, okay. So, when I'm blow drying this, what I'm doing is I'm working with the shape. I had to grab my mannequin. I'm working with the shape of the cut. And the shape of the cut from the occipital bone down is designed to cup the head. So there's absolutely no reason to tip the air up and get fullness in here. Everything needs to be cupping the head and draping around the head. So the air goes down, not up. So just moving that down and forward. So what we've been doing is I've been showing you how to create length with over direction, how to create asymmetry if you want, softness as it goes to the front. And I'm going to show you some detail work on this as well. all the hearts. Okay, so just kind of moving forward. Okay, so you can see that it doesn't really have any detail work yet. It's just a basic shape. And for me, basic shapes, what kind of dryer? That is the Veris dryer, Veris North America. So you can find them at Kao Salon Division, KAO Salon Division.com. So, okay, so I always think that the magic is in the details. So if you were going to create, let's say a garment, you were making this beautiful little velvet shirt I just got, and you wanted to put the buttons on before you even sewed it. So it doesn't make any sense. You have to create your structure first, then your details. When you're working with hairlines and you've got, I just had somebody ask, a nasty cowlick, what do you do? I usually will wait. I'll leave it longer, like I did here. So you can see there's some length to that. I leave it longer and then I detail at the end. And I use my texturizers. These are 40-tooth texturizers. And I have always loved this type of a texturizer because it takes out a lot of hair. And I can create almost a line with it if I want to. When I'm working and I want to create, get rid of length, I'm going to work from the bottom up. If I'm trying to just soften, I work from the top down. So this shape was created with over direction for people just joining. And what I did was I over directed the hair on the right hand side back to a stationary guide right at the ear area. And on the left hand side, you can see it's shorter, but it still has a little more length in the front. I over directed just to my previous section. So a little bit of over direction back. So on the left hand side, we increased in length just a little bit. On the right hand side, simply by changing the point that I over directed back to, I have a lot more length. So let's create a little bit of the detailing now. And I'm going to, yep, you can still see it. I've been trying to get my mannequin up high enough that it's not in the words. I think we managed this time. So I'm going to come in and I want to leave some softness around the edges. So I'm going to come into the center first. Let's see there. And I want to remove some length. So you can see how much hair these actually remove. And just like any blade, the more you go in vertically, the softer your line will be. If I come in and I go horizontal, even with the texturizer, I'm going to get a line. So I'm going in more in a vertical manner. And when I need to remove more length, I will turn horizontal. Okay. So all of your principles when you're texturizing still apply to hair cutting. If you keep the elevation low, you'll create weight. Lift your elevation high, you'll remove weight. So just keep in mind that when you're texturizing, you are still cutting the hair. So just softening some of these edges now, coming through on a diagonal. Okay. So you can see that shape just starting to develop. And let's move to the side. This is one of my favorite things to do, is to create space around the ears so that you can, it's just softer. You can have see-through. Once again, if I went in and I cut the hair around the ear first, and I cut all my edges first, which is what I find a lot of stylists do, and then they're trying to make it soft. So if you leave those edges till the end, you can create a lot of softness. So at this point, I'm going to come in, create a little bit of a V. So I'm just opening it up right around the ear area. So just opening this up, there's the ear, right over the ear. Then I want to remove some of this hair. So I'm just going to lift that up, split it, removing hair. Okay, so I created a hole, didn't I? Okay, so now when I move that back down, you can see there's space that you can see through the hair. So I'll do another one right here. And remember, we have that foundation of the over direction. That over direction has created all of this length as it moves forward. So now I'm creating just some holes inside so it isn't quite so solid. Okay? And then the hair comes back down over the top. If I want to open up a little bit more, let's say she tucks her hair a lot, I might come in and just go right here and get rid of that little bit of hair. So then when she tucks, she'll have a nice clean line right there. Okay? Let's remove a little bit of weight. But if you didn't have these details to play with, because you cut them all off, then it just would look like a regular short haircut. This is what makes short hair cutting so much fun, is playing with the edges. Okay, so now we have that length coming through, a little dangle there, get rid of that baby. Okay, and now let's look at the other side. So we have this even length in the back, and then on the right-hand side, or excuse me, left-hand side, it's getting a little bit longer again, because right here, what we did was the over-directed back just to our previous section. So we had just a little bit of over-direction each time, and then on the other side, obviously, we had more. But I want to create more space on this side as well, so there's that V section again, so just split it so that when the hair closes back down, there's coverage. Okay, we want to create a hole, but we don't want to create like a gap in the hair. Or maybe we want to create a gap, not a hole. Might sound better. Okay, so I'm going to split this, and then I'm going to go right in at that ear area and just start removing some of that hair. So this is just opening up the hair, and then this can come back down over the top, reducing a little length and bulk. And this can all go with different face shapes. You can reduce fullness with your texturizers. You can create fullness. But you can create these beautiful soft edges that weren't possible if we would have gone in and cut it all off first. So I think that's the main thing I want you guys to get out of this, is that over direction creates length, and however far you over direct is what you're going to end up getting. So the more you over direct back, the more length you'll have when it travels forward. Always create the details, leave room for details in your work. Don't create your entire outline before you begin, because then you don't have anything to play with. And playing with it is what makes it so much awesomer. So there we go, you guys. That was a little lesson in over direction. This will be posted to my Instagram if you want to refer back to it on my reels. And go check out the link in my bio, my link tree for my scissors and for Sharp Scissors Society. So thank you so much